Welcome to the 6:30 April 5th City Council meeting. At this time, we will stand for pledge and prayer. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Let's pray. Dear Heavenly Father God, we just come to you, Lord, today, just thanking you, Lord, for what you do for us, Lord. Thanking you for this community, Lord, and what it means to each one of us, Lord. We're just so blessed to be in Borger and for it to be our home, Lord. And God, I just thank you for all these that have shown up today, Lord. Each and every one, Lord, I just ask special blessings on. And God, I just pray, Lord, that you will give us peace in this room tonight, Lord. God, I just ask that you give us the strength and the knowledge and the discernment to know what is right, Lord. And God, I just ask that for that you protect and just continue to protect our citizens, Lord, and our staff, Lord, and the council as a whole, Lord. And I just thank you for what you're doing in Borger. And I just ask these things in your son's name, Jesus. Amen.
Amen.
And at this time, we'll take questions or comments from any citizen that would like to speak.
Good evening.
Hi, Spanky.
Thanks for letting me talk. My name's Spanky Whitworth. I just wanted to know if there's any kind of update on the situation at Huber Park.
We've been looking and price quoting a fence along that property line to maybe catch some of the trash.
Okay.
Because I think, as we've been looking at it, that's probably going to be, I'm not for sure that we can prevent it completely, so that would at least create a barrier, and so we're trying to get that into the budget for next year, was the last discussion we had with council on that.
Okay, what about the parking for the youth?
Well, we did kind of talk about blocking that off at a certain time at night, but
Okay.
we're just not really sure about how to go about that, really.
I know that before Lieutenant Watson I think he was the night supervisor at one time. I don't know if he still is. But they would patrol about 9 o'clock and clear both lots out and then come back every 15 minutes and clear it out. That was during the football season, and that worked pretty well. But in the summertime, it's unbelievable.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, Donnie, do you have anything that you want
So
to?
in regard to the officers, as part of their normal patrols, the directions that I've given the night shift supervisors, we have two different shift sergeants that take care of the night shift. And during their patrols in response to calls, I've instructed them to go through there. And of course, if the kids are gathering up there and creating a disturbance, doing some of the stuff with drag racing and other things that they've done in the past, they're being a nuisance, pretty much just to clear them out of the park. Also, I know the officers on several occasions, you talked about the trash, have gone through there and made the kids pick up the trash and throw it in a dumpster and all of that.
Okay.
So as calls allow them to, they try to keep up with the
Sure.
park. But we know that is definitely one of our problem areas that we're trying to address there.
Okay. I know when I spoke earlier, they talked about putting speed bumps in the parking lot. I know they couldn't legally or something do it in the street,
Yeah.
but to slow down the exiting, and I don't know that that's been discussed further.
We can look into that. I don't recall having that conversation, but we can follow up on that.
It was back in 2015 or
Oh,
2016.
yeah, so I wouldn't.
Yeah, what I
Normally my
remember-
memory's pretty good. I was like, oh my God, did I really
Well,
drop one?
what I remember is we did talk about, shutting that parking lot, that first parking lot, closest.
There
to-
was some debate on whether or not we
Yeah,
wanted to
we-
put gates up and really
Yeah,
close
we
it, and if
kinda
that would
had-
impact other use, but, speed bumps could definitely,
Yeah.
I had not thought about putting that into the park, because we can't impede a roadway, which is the deal, but we can definitely impede a
Right.
parking lot.
Okay. All right, I'll check back.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you, Spanky. Is there anyone else?
If not, we'll move on to the item number 5, receive a presentation for the TML Health Benefit Pool.
Good evening,
Hello.
Mayor, Council. My name is Joe Sanchez with TML Health, and this is Jeff Teal, also with TML Health. Tonight, we'd like to recognize the partnership between the city of Borger and TML Health Pool. As you know, TML Health Pool is a pool of many cities that have joined together to have purchasing power and provide benefits throughout the state of Texas. We cannot thank you enough for allowing us to serve the people of Texas and serve the front lines of Texas. Police officers, firemen, council members, staff in general. We could not, this opportunity has given us the opportunity to make the most of our mission to serve the people that serve the people of Texas. We have given cities over $18 million in renewal credits. We paid over $14 million in COVID claims that did not impact the cities this last couple of years. We have a $150 incentive check that we give employees for their preventative care. And we've also enhanced our health and wellness benefits through this mission of ours. We could not have been able to do it with your partnership, and we thank you for that. And without any further ado, we award the city a longevity award. It's a 40-year longevity award and a certificate. And we thank you for the commitment and support, and we look forward to many more years as well.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
And I think that the last time I was here, I thought I planned well, or I didn't plan well because it was too cold. And today, I wore a t-shirt and a jacket.
I'm gonna put this back in the box because
Thank y'all so much.
Because-
Appreciate it. Thank
thank
you.
you all.
Do you want to go stand in front of the seal?
I have just the excuse
Okay.
ones, but yeah, y'all come.
Oh, I guess we better get the award out.
No, you're doing okay. You're doing
You're doing great, Mayor. Sorry, I'll give more direction after I got my candid ones. But yeah, y'all can just stand right in the center. Yeah, that would be just get a picture. And then actually kind of right here so we get the rest of council too, sorry.
No. Hey, move over that way.
Might be a glare,
You're joking, but I'm not really used to it. So, thank you guys, appreciate it, thank you.
You might get a glare.
Yeah, you might, that's what I'm getting.
I'll make
They told us that we couldn't drop it.
I'll make sure Garrett displays it somewhere.
Very good.
Thank y'all so much.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, there you go.
And now this time we'll move on to consent items 6 through 9. If there's any discussion or not,
Nope.
then I'll entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion, we'll approve consent items 6 through 9.
And all in favor? And it passes. And then moving on to item 10, consider and take appropriate action on an appeal from Mr. and Mrs. Jonathan Wallace for the Building Standards Commission order to remove or demolish structure located at 1425 Marigold, Lot 7 and West 3 foot of 8, Block 9, Yucca Park addition to the city of Borger within 30 days. Mr. Byrd.
Yes, Mayor and Council, we are here today to hear their appeal on the Building Standards Commission's order to remove or demolish that was done on March 3rd, 2022. To my knowledge, Mr. Wallace or his wife is not present, or it doesn't appear any representatives is here. I will tell you that this property started off in Building Standards Commission from a complaint from Texas Gas Service because they had a gas meter in the alley, and there's approximately an 8-foot tall retaining wall back there that is giving away. That's what started the process, and as going into that process, we found out the house had settled and caused a lot of damage to where the brick fell off, a big portion of the back of the house, just a lot of damage, and I know over the last year the Wallaces have tried to sell the property and started off at one price and went way low till we got to this process. I strongly feel that the house is unsuitable to live in, and so I just ask that y'all upheld the Building Standards Commission's orders. Other than that, if you have any questions, I'll be glad to answer.
If anyone has any questions or comments or anything?
I believe every council member has personally put eyes on this property.
Yeah.
So we're aware of its unsuitability for habitation. It's dangerous. So we agree with the planning and development that it needs to be condemned.
I would also like to add that we do have a couple of members from our board here that they may want to speak as well.
Okay. Well, we thank our volunteers
Absolutely,
that
yeah.
listen to this and do this kind of stuff. We could not operate without them. If they want to speak, we would love to hear them.
Yeah,
And we can open the public hearing.
I'd like to
Okay.
say that we,
well, let's open the public hearing then. Can I go ahead and do that?
it was on, I think we had it for over 18 months at least, and didn't do anything but bend over backwards to try to give them enough time to do whatever they wanted to do, and talk to the realtor over the phone at nearly every meeting, and had contracts, and finally just got to the point where Jesse said, we want a signed contract by the next meeting or we're moving on, and it didn't happen, so.
May I speak?
Yes.
I'll go up front.
Yeah.
Excuse me.
Well, you want to come up front, Robert?
It's okay. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. My name's Robert Bradley. I live at 1423 Marigold Street. The house next door to the property that we're talking about.
Yep.
And it's in really, really bad shape. And I came to one of the code enforcement meetings and told them that I've spoken to almost not every contractor, but probably 3/4 of the ones that comes over and look at that property. And each of them told me that they couldn't make any money on that place if it was given to them. So with that said, it needs to be torn down. And shingles are blowing off of it. And you already know bricks falling off. You know the condition of it. It's nothing but eyesore. No one's gonna buy it, and it's been on the market a long time. I'm talking, I know a part of the patio has blown up and knocked one of my windows out. That was 2.5 years ago. So it's just a bad piece of property that needs to be demoed. And I would appreciate it if you put it on the list and tear it down tomorrow.
Thank you. And if there's,
I would just add that, keep in mind that, while tearing down anybody's property is never our goal, in this particular instance, the Wallaces are, they're wanting the order removed so that they can hopefully sell it. However, I would say that removing the order doesn't remove the violations that are there. So the violations remain. Even if they sell it, the violations remain. So this order, their way out is to correct the violations. And in the 18 months, they haven't made any progress on that. I would also like to, continue to point out that the taxes have not been paid on this property since 2013. So there is a $33,665 of outstanding taxes that would have to be paid, which is, I think, also inhibiting the sale of the property. And they do owe the city $399.10 in a past due water bill from when they left. So, I think there's some other issues that are leading to the likelihood of this not being repaired. And so I just, I do understand their point of wanting it free and clear to try to sell it. But the city would still be, if we allow the order to be removed without the issues being fixed, once we've started this process, we could potentially be liable
Yeah,
from the next
absolutely.
buyer for allowing a property in
Yes.
this condition to be occupied or sold.
And didn't y'all say that you got a quote or something on a retaining wall would have been over $50,000 to repair that, just that retaining wall probably?
It's not a formal quote, but
Okay.
I mean, there's definitely money involved in any repair. It needs soil stabilization, the structural, it's not a house, most of the substandard buildings that we demolish are clearly old. A lot of them are still shotgun houses from the original days of the city. They look bad. This one doesn't exactly look great, but it's a lot newer than we deal with, but more so than a lot of the substandards that we deal with. This is one of the most structurally unsound properties that we have dealt with in a long time. The house is sinking from multiple angles, which is putting stress on all of the structural components of the house. The roof is subject to collapse, the porch is separating from the front of the house. I mean, this is not,
Right,
The plumbing system,
yeah,
this is not secure some windows and some doors and,
absolutely.
Yeah,
with that much movement, it had to affect plumbing system.
yeah, I walked around the house myself, and I called Mr. Bradley, but, I figured if you touched it hard enough, some bricks was gonna fall off, and I just walked away. I walked all the way around that house,
Yeah.
and, I can't see any hope for it myself.
Well, if there's nothing else, then I'll entertain a motion.
I move to affirm the Building Standards Commission order to remove or demolish the structure located at 1425 Marigold and to adopt resolution R-012-22 condemning the property located at 1425 Marigold and require all occupants to immediately vacate said structure.
Second.
And I forgot to close, sorry about that. Okay, do we have a motion
I
and a second?
seconded, yes.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
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 Thank you again, Building Standards.
Yeah, for
People
sure.
that volunteer and do that work. I know it's personal time, and this council has the greatest confidence in your compassion and knowledge level, and it exceeds ours on these matters. Thank you.
Absolutely. Item 11, conduct a public hearing and then consider and take appropriate action to introduce on first reading ordinance O-003-22, renewing the standards of care for youth programs. Mr. Spradlin.
so, this is the third year we've done this now, so we should be getting, used to this, but, so since this Park Rec Summer Program is a child care program, and so according to the Human Resources Code, we are exempt from child care licensing as long as the council adopts these standards of care. And the state law requires us to reaffirm these each year. So there are no changes. This ordinance is just reaffirming what was already in place. We will, if the manual is included, and our website's been updated for the key dates for this program, so we're getting ready to start accepting registrants for this. And if you recall, this is, free of charge to any child between 1st and 7th grade in Hutchinson County. And we provide activities and lunch for them for 8 weeks.
And there is, I noticed there was 3 parent meetings, and they are required, the parent is required to attend one of those meetings.
Parent or guardian, so we started that 2 years ago. We've had a lot better luck making sure that the parents are educated on the, expectations and how the program works in advance. And so we don't get quite as many of those, well, you let my son break his iPhone.
Yeah,
Well, you shouldn't have probably let him bring an iPhone to the park. And so, you know, that's our opportunity to go over a lot of these things prior to the program starting. So registration starts on May 2nd this year, and the last day to register if you want to be part for the whole program is June 2nd. Of course, you can register up until the last Friday, the week before the last program, but if you want to start the first day, it is June 2nd. And so there is a little highlight in our Boomtown Beat that's going out this month in the water bills, or was put on the city website or on our Facebook page. And of course, we're excited to welcome Manny Dixon, who was promoted as recreation coordinator following Abaddon's retirement. And Isaac Montoya is now the recreation supervisor. He's been the Park Rec Summer Program supervisor for 4 years, I think now. So we're glad to bring him on full-time and keep him involved with the kids. And so
That's good.
we're definitely excited for that.
Great.
Okay.
I've got to open a public hearing. We'll conduct a public hearing at this time, if there's anyone that would like to speak. And if not, then we'll close it. And at this time, we will. We just have to
Entertain a
do-
motion.
Okay, I'm
No,
sorry,
you're
I don't
good.
know why I'm.
We have lots of public hearings today that we don't always have, so it throws off our
I'll
habits.
entertain a motion.
I move to introduce on first reading ordinance O-003-22, renewing the standards of care for youth programs.
Second.
All right, all in favor? And it passes. Item 12, consider and take appropriate action to receive the annual report and approve a tourism service agreement with the Tri-City Community Concert Association. Mrs. Flanders.
Thank you. I know you all have my reports. If you have any questions, I'll be glad to answer them. We had kind of a strange season because we ended up having to cancel a concert on February 3rd. I don't think we've ever done that before, but we do have it rescheduled. It's going to be in May now, so we're excited that we're going to get that back. So that's what's happened this year, and then I gave you a rundown on our next year's season. We have not printed our brochure. Usually I get to bring a brochure to you, but we've had so many troubles trying to schedule all these dates. It just finally came together today, as a matter of fact.
That's good.
So, there's no questions. I'll appreciate your appropriation.
All right. Thank you for your work on that. Is anyone have anything?
No, thank you for
Thank you.
bringing the arts and stuff to the city.
Absolutely. So, if there is none, then I'll entertain a motion.
I move that the fiscal year 2022 annual report and the fiscal year 2023 tourism agreement between the Tri-City Community Concert Association and the City of Borger be approved as submitted.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
And it passes. And then item 13, Ms. Flanders also, consider and take appropriate action to receive the annual report and approve a tourism services agreement with the Friends of the Hutchinson County Museum.
And I want to take this opportunity to introduce Angie Mitchell. She's our chairman of the Friends of the Museum Group, and she agreed to accompany me tonight. But you have what we've been doing and what we're planning to do. And I think probably one of the things we're most excited about is our cowboy poetry event, which we're going to have in the new dome. And it's so exciting to have a big enough place to
Absolutely.
really accommodate as many people and, have plenty of room for the musicians. As of now, we have 5 acts, 5 performance acts. So that's 2 more than we've had in past years, and partly because we just didn't think we had room to have any more groups, but Andy Hedges is coming back, and Strawberry is coming back, but then we're gonna have a brother and sister group from Montana, and the guy from, where's he from? I don't know. Anyway, we've got 2 new performance acts this year, so we're excited about that.
That's great. That's good. Is there anyone have any more? If not, then thank you, Ms.
Thank
Flanders.
you.
Thank you for what you
Thank
do too. If not, I'll entertain a motion.
I move the fiscal year 2022 annual report and the fiscal year 2023 tourism agreement between the Friends of the Hutchinson County Historical Museum and the City of Borger be approved as submitted.
Second.
All in favor? And it passes. Item 14, consider and take appropriate action on an interlocal agreement between the City of Borger and Hutchinson County for animal shelter services. Mr. Spradlin.
So we talked about this a while back with, during a work session with Daryl, our animal control supervisor, and the chief. So we've been finally kind of working through the details in the final agreement between the county attorney and the county, and so it's finally ready for official action. The terms are in there. Pretty much we'll agree to, just so those that don't know, the county enacted a new animal ordinance here a while back to try to address some of their dog-at-large issues they're having out in the county. The problem they've had running into enforcing some of that is they don't have any place to impound animals, for violation of that. So they had approached us about using our shelter. Of course, we're very mindful of making sure that that burden doesn't impact the services that we provide to our citizens. So what this agreement does is we will house up to 2 dogs at any one time. The animal control supervisor can authorize up to 5, but with his prior pre-authorization. So we're not really committing to anything other than 2. For each day that we house a dog, the county will pay us $5 per day for days 1 through 10, and then it goes up to $25 per day for each animal housed past day 10. And so that part's there so that we can make sure that we get our paperwork so that we can properly transfer ownership of the animal, whether that be to a rescue group or if the animal would eventually have to be euthanized. That increased cost does not apply to dogs that the animal services supervisor deems adoptable. So if we house a dog that is not reclaimed, and we feel that it's adoptable and we can find a good home for it, then we will waive that increased fee and we will keep that animal like we do with all of our adoptable dogs as long as we possibly can. There's a $40 fee per animal that we have to euthanize if we do have to euthanize an animal. And then all the paperwork and everything else is on the county's responsibility. So that's pretty much it. I'll entertain any questions if you have any.
Yeah, I think we talked about it quite a bit, so. If there is none, then we'll entertain a motion.
I move to approve the interlocal agreement between the City of Borger and Hutchinson County for animal shelter services.
Second.
And all in favor? And it passes. Item 15, consider and take appropriate action to appoint election judges and alternates for the May 7th, 2022 election. Mrs. Sauls.
You did get your paper memo. That was my fault. There was a checkbox that was clicked for not in packet, which is why the memo didn't end up in your packet. But it's there in front of you now.
This is just another step in our election process. It's been hard this year because the state has mandated that the county have an election on May 7th as well. So we finally got judges and alternates in place, and this is just so that the council and the mayor can sign off on this.
And I will say that I kind of have assumed some things that I've said in the past couple of meetings. The county did not change their voting precincts. So there will only be one precinct that overlaps. So you will have to vote in 2 places unless you voted.
At Fairlanes Baptist on election day. Oh, well, we can say that early voting, well, no, they won't be here. They'll be at their own place.
Yeah, over on the.
So early voting for the city election will be at City Hall. Early voting for the state
The amendments.
the constitutional amendments will be at the annex.
Yes.
And then on election day, they'll be,
We'll
we
be
will make sure that
Yeah. It'll be posted, but Borger Middle School, precinct 11, Paul Belton, 33 and 42, and Fairlane Baptist, 14 and 23. So,
Now, the school board election,
yes, the city and the school are together.
okay, so.
So all of those
if they come here
precincts,
for
yes.
the city, they can also do the school board.
Yes, early voting here is school and city.
That starts April 25th, a Monday.
April 25th
And
on
then May
Monday.
7th, a Saturday, is the
Yes.
last day.
The last day to early vote will be May 3rd, and May 3rd will be the 12-hour day. We continue to have that one day for 12 hours, so May 3rd will be that 12-hour day, and that's the last day for early voting, and then the election is on May 7th.
Which is a Saturday.
Yes.
Like I said, we will try to educate as much as we can in advance of the fact that you have to vote 2 places. We will have signs here and we will, but it is going to be unique and confusing.
Yeah.
Luckily, it doesn't happen very often, but
On Mr. Bradley's name, I know in the motion it's spelled right, but up there on the recommendations, the T is left off. He might get, they might be thinking it's like me, Charles and Peter brothers. So,
Robert's not here to enjoy your joke.
well, I was joking earlier that, I'm sure there are some people in this community that think he's a robber, so maybe that's me. Lot worse things said about me, so I can take it.
Okay, if there's nothing else or nothing for Stella, then we'll entertain a motion.
I move that the election judges be appointed as follows. For the early voting ballot board, Suzanne Enzi as judge. For precinct 11, Robert Bradley as judge and Alvin Ferguson as alternate. For precincts 14 and 23, Teresa Willis as judge and April England as alternate. And for precincts 33 and 42, Bertha Walker as judge and David Stevenson as alternate.
Second.
And all in favor?
Aye.
And it passes. We'll move on to item 16, consider and take appropriate action to receive the Borger Police Department's 2021 Racial Profiling Report. Chief Davis.
Good evening, Mayor, council members. This is my first opportunity to get to address the council as your chief of police. Tonight I bring to you our racial profiling report that's required to be submitted to TCOL each year, which is our licensing entity for the state of Texas. The report is compiled from statistics gathered from our citation warning software that we use. It's all electronic. It's made this quite a bit simpler than it was once upon a time where it was all handwritten and you had to go through and gather the stats. It does a lot of the work for us. But the report was submitted back on February the 18th to TCOL after we ensured that it met the requirements. The policy of the police department in regards to racial profiling meets all the requirements as established by the state legislature, as well as best practices through the Texas Police Chiefs Association. And the report is there in front of you. I'm happy to entertain any questions that y'all have in reference to the report. I know sometimes some of the things on there are kind of worded differently as required by the format for the state, but I'm happy to answer any questions anybody may have from that.
all the numbers.
No,
I don't have it. That's a lot of numbers.
Yeah, it is.
Pretty much, it boils down to the fact that their stops are pretty much in line with our ethnic diversity.
Yes. Yeah,
So-
yeah, and one of the things that we do was compile also a breakdown of the makeup here in the city, and it is right down the lines of that. So it's right in line with what we expect.
So whether you believe it or not, you pretty much have an equal chance of being stopped by the Border Police regardless of any of those criterias.
Yeah.
I don't have any.
I have great confidence in our police force that there is not racial profiling. It wouldn't be acceptable if it occurred.
Absolutely not.
And I have
Absolutely not.
great confidence in the leadership of our police department that our police do a great job of trying to do things right.
Yes, sir.
With excellence, and I have that confidence.
I appreciate that, sir. I will say that I know it's kind of been a change for them with new leadership, especially with me, because I'm kind of probably a pendulum swing from what they're used to. Chief Roberts did us a wonderful job for several years.
But of course, with me, y'all have kind of been around me a little bit. I think sometimes it's like I have ADD or ADHD. I'm kind of all over the place. But I will say that I'm very proud of our commission members, our officers, as well as our civilian employees of the department. I feel like they do a really good job representing the city and representing our department for our community. They do a good job to do a professional image for the department, which is what I expected. I know that's what you expect as well. We're by no means perfect. There's always room for improvement, but I am very proud of the work they've been doing and the way that they do it.
Thank you, Don.
I'll give you some anecdotal evidence. I was stopped not too long ago myself for failing to come to a complete stop. Fortunately, this police officer didn't know me or who I was, and I was impressed with his professionalism and courtesy and directness, and it's better than shadowing a police officer because I got to see how he really works. And there was no difference, and he didn't know who I was. So my kudos to your department.
I'm very happy to hear that, which of course it's nice with the video cameras that we have, the body cameras and everything. I'm able to review a lot of what we do, which I do, and always ensure that, we're upholding the law, but also being as professional as possible to do that. So I am proud of the work they do, and I do appreciate you letting me know that. So.
All right. Thank you, Chief.
Thank y'all.
Appreciate it. If there's no questions or comments, then I will entertain a motion.
I move to accept as submitted the Borger Police Department 2021 Racial Profiling Report.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
And it passes. Item 17, consider and take appropriate action to adjourn.
Make a motion, we adjourn.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
And we are adjourned. Thank you all for coming. Appreciate it.